Sports Avenue Twisted Podcast. Rob and Rocky talks everything sports.
Welcome to another edition of the Sports Avenue Twisted Podcast, and we have a returning guest over here, but this time we're going to have a roundtable discussion regarding the trade deadline and other topics regarding the MLB. He's a Grinnell commit, and he's back once again. Sam Fassbender, welcome back. Awesome time. It's an honor for you to have you back. Welcome.
Pleasure to be back. I'm excited to talk tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. The trade deadline was one for the ages, so there's lots of stuff. Yeah, very eventful. Yeah, it's going to be lots of stuff to get into. So I guess we could jump into it, right?
Yeah. Let's go.
But before we get anything started, so Max Scherzer has tied Walter Johnson's record for the most strikeouts of all time with 3,515. He's a Missouri native too. What a Hall of Famer, one of a kind, man.
That's crazy.
Crazy. University
and he did
of Missouri.
A Jay's uniform, right? So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
An interesting thing about Max Scherzer, obviously started his career with the Nationals, right? Is that? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was with Arizona, then he got traded to Detroit.
Arizona and then Detroit, yeah.
That's when he got big. But obviously, he's from Missouri, like y'all said. He really wanted to be on the Cardinals for a long time, but the Cardinals said no and passed him up, which was so, just looking back on our history, there was a time where we had Wainwright, Lance Lynn, and such a stacked staff. Him, if he was on the staff with that would have been insane.
Oh man, I think that's probably one of St. Louis's biggest regrets. And the moment the Jays signed him, we went to the World Series with him. It's such a big deal for a guy like him. Clubhouse presence, the demeanor, the attitude, the culture. He's such a big part of any team, and he's won 2 World Series, rightfully so. One with the Nationals, one with the Rangers. But yeah, let's get right to it, man. So the trade deadline was one for the Angels, and probably it had to do with the uncertainty of where baseball is at heading into the offseason. But we've seen so many moves that was made with players that have control beyond next year and beyond. And Sam, I'll start with you. And thoughts on what happened at the trade deadline. What was your biggest takeaway in your mind?
I think the biggest takeaway for me was I think the Dodgers know where baseball's kind of going, so they made that needle-pushing move that's really going to set the announcer or the owners and the players kind of over the edge, and I think that's going to reach kind of an iceberg point where it's going to tip, and I think that kind of just let more flame to the fire, and it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But I think a lot of the competitive teams really made moves that made them better. I think some teams kind of saw what the Dodgers did and made irrational moves, like the Brewers, and I think that some teams are going to be really benefiting from what's going to be happening, and it's going to be fun to watch these next couple months. I think my favorite one right off the bat was Luis Arias to the Phillies. That has been so fun to watch.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm lucky. I get to go to a Cardinals Phillies game this upcoming week, and it's going to be so fun watching those 3, Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and Arias in the same lineup against my Cards, and that's just going to be a fun time.
Well, I'll give you the one that shocked me was Adley Rutschman going to the Boston Red Sox and the return they got. Both the Yankees, the Rays, and the Red Sox needed a catcher badly. Bad enough to overpay for catchers like him. Adley Rutschman was the number 1 pick in the 2019 draft. Right before Bobby Witt at number 2, and catchers are probably the most important position in baseball, and they showed the willingness to go give up that many assets like Jose Alcazar, Kyson Witherspoon, and Anthony Ianson. I thought they were only willing to give up one, but they gave up both Witherspoon and Ianson is a shocker to me, and maybe it might be a in division premium tax. Giving up a catcher like that in the division, and rightfully so. Adley Rutschman's going to help the Red Sox in a big way, and he's yet to play, but he will be playing. So,
well, the Roman Empire is still out too. Roman Anthony, they have so much coming back, and it's crazy what they're already doing. I think they're 31-5 or 31-6 in their last whatever amount of games. Like they were 32-46. Now they're 64-51.
It's
They're
crazy.
almost tied. They're almost tied back with the Yankees for second place. And obviously the Rays have one of the best farm systems and one of the best developments in there. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch kind of how they come back and see, because I mean they're one of the hottest teams ever. Like this is unprecedented. Like we haven't really seen a team win this much, this frequently, and be this successful in this little amount of time. And it's gonna be fun to kind of see how they end together. I mean, I don't know if they can end this hot, but if they can play like this, I mean, they're gonna be the ones to beat in the American League.
Okay.
What's your biggest takeaway, Rob?
I mean, my biggest takeaway, and what you talked about the Red Sox going to get Adley Rutschman, that was a deal that kind of just like broke the trade deadline almost, making an in-division trade like that. But I think, the Angels really surprised me what they did. The Dodgers surprised me because I thought they'd do more. They went out and got Tariq Skubal, and like that's where it ended. Like it didn't seem like, I mean, they went out, I think got Chris Bubich or something like that, right? They added some pitching wise, but it was like they really didn't do what I thought they would load up too, right? But it was one for the ages, man. Like this trade deadline just and people kept telling me it's going to be a good trade deadline, and I wasn't sure because how many I didn't think there'd be that many sellers, so it was interesting to see more people buy and sell too, right? They kind of did both, so I thought I thought it was a good one, man.
One of those teams that was a little bit of both was the Padres. Obviously, getting rid of Arias is huge because, I mean, he's one of the most consistent contact hitters that we've seen in the game for decades, honestly. And looking at them, obviously, they acquired Robbie Ray and Casey Mize, so they're going to get that starting pitching that they need to really make a good playoff run. But getting rid of Arias' bat is honestly kind of huge. I mean, that if you watch the Phillies' last few games, that has been the catalyst that they've kind of needed to really get runners on, instead of Schwarber hitting a solo home run or Harper hitting a 2-run homer. It's now Schwarber's able to hit a 2-run homer or Harper's able to hit a 3-run homer with how much Schwarber gets on base and how much Arias obviously gets on base. I mean, he's hitting at, I think it's around a 320 clip right now, and that's such a huge bat for the Phillies. That's what they needed, and I honestly think that bat alone makes the Phillies one of the biggest winners at the deadline.
And you know what's interesting? It's funny you mentioned Luis Ariz because I've talked with people like about this, and when it comes to the off season, the guy's been on like 3 different teams, won 3 different batting titles. When it comes to the off season, it seems like nobody wants this guy. You know what I mean? Like he gets a 1 year, I think $11 million. Was it $11 million or something with
12 million, yeah,
or 12 million with the Giants? Like, really? But come the trade deadline, everybody sees how the bat plays in the regular season. They're like, oh, this guy's a great ad. And he is. Like, I mean, it's just baffling how in the off season, it's just like nobody wants him. But, like, yeah, what a great ad for the Phillies. And he fits seamlessly into their lineup too, man.
The thing about a rise for them is Bryce Harper is willing to sacrifice playing first base to move to the outfield in order for Arias to play at second base and Alec Bohm play at first. So they had to reshuffle that whole defensive alignment. And I think with the Arias, I think he defensively improved, and I think Ron Washington played a part on that. And I think Ron Washington's one of the most underrated coaches when it comes to defense. If you look at his track record, how he improved defensively, it starts back from like the Marcus Semien when he was with the Athletics. I think Washington was a coach there. With Atlanta, with Dansby Swanson and Austin Riley, and now you look at San Francisco, how that goes. So I think that coaching matters, and it helped Arias' stock value go up in order for a team like the Phillies to go at a guy like it, because the Phillies needed an outfielder. That was a given, and there wasn't too many outfielders that were good enough to trade away guys. Because if you look at the market for outfielders, there weren't too many, right? So, I think the Phillies had a lot of pressure to add at this trade deadline, and they did. And I'll give you another team that went all in is the Chicago Cubs. Goodness, look at the moves they've made so far. They gave up Ballesteros and another player just to go at Zephyrin's under control for so many years. What a pickup. He's been great as a reliever. And they caught that, right? Yep. Yeah, and then Clay Holmes with Tyrone Taylor in that deal. And they gave up their second best prospect in Jefferson Rojas. They are going for it. They are doing whatever it takes to compete. Not only just the playoffs, to try to get to the World Series. That's their end goal, right? So
I think got Braxton Garrett.
Braxton Garrett's another one, and he got option. Yeah. And Gavin Gosman, another guy who had the experience last year to get to the World Series. And we'll get to all the sellers and stuff, and I think the Jays did well, but we'll get into all that. But the Cubs are going for it as well.
So I was gonna say for the Jays, I think it's really. I wouldn't even consider. I consider them kind of in the middle because if you look at that, they set themselves up so well for the future, and they got kind of rid of those somewhat medium level contracts, which I think is going to really pay off for them in the long run. I think obviously we've kind of spoken about it, but I think that the biggest issue right now for the Jays is Vlad Guerrero. If Guerrero's bat's going for them, I think they're one of the best teams in the AL. But obviously right now that's not going. But I think eventually he'll turn it on. He's too good not to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree with everything what you said. All right, I'll ask the next question. So, who do you think were the winners at the trade deadline? Both buyers or sellers, so either direction.
With me, I think the winner to me is the Angels. What they did at the trade deadline for a team that knew that they had no direction, and they've kind of been in that purgatory for many years. And they finally did what needed to be done, years ago. Like it's like they finally got rid of some guys. They restocked the farm system. I still think there are trades to come in the off season. I think Detmers, Neto, I think they'll revisit those guys in the off season. There weren't many bats traded at this deadline because I think the prices were just too crazy. They're not a contending team, but they got a jump start on what needed to be done for that organization.
I mean, it's hard not to look at the Dodgers as one of the biggest winners. I mean, obviously, Scooble's a franchise-changing player, and I know Rob mentioned it earlier. Like, I know that I thought that they would make a couple more moves than what they did, but at the same time, you got to keep in mind that Edwin Diaz is coming back next month. Blake Snell's coming back in the later part of September. You got who's the guy that got traded from the Rays to the Dodgers a couple years ago that's coming back too? Glasnow. Glasnow's coming back.
Yeah.
They have obviously, if you look at it, like I think it's 4 of the 5 top best ERA guys in the entire MLB since 2022. With that being Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, and now the best guy, which is Scooble. If they somehow get Skeens in the next couple of years, it's gonna be. I don't think that's going to happen now with the lockout. That's going to be interesting to see. But I think, obviously, you got to say they are one of the biggest. Now, they are on a 7-game losing streak right now, but I think when it comes time to the playoffs, all those guys have so much experience. I don't think it's going to really matter. I think that they're a shoe-in to at least make the championship series in the NL. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to look at the seller aspect. The Washington Nationals did well. Getting the maximum return they can. Luis Garcia Jr., let's see. I know that they focus a lot of pitching in this trade deadline, and getting a guy like Connolly early for a guy that got DFA'd earlier this year and flip him, and now he's hurt. That is such a great pickup for Washington. Yeah, and he's hurt right now, but like I'm sure long term he's going to be part of their solution once all said and done. I love the return for Foster Griffin from a guy who's picked up for $1 for $5 million to get 4 prospects in return, and they know that Washington's not ready to win this year, right? Because they're looking at a more broader perspective with more guys coming in the system within the likes of Seaver King, Eli Willits, Yarlin Susanna. But they got a few guys coming in their system, and they now added guys who are going to be part of the solution long term. I do love the Mets as well. What they got in return from the Cubs for Clay Holmes and on Tyrone Terrell, like you said, they gave up their second best prospect, who's now become the Mets' top prospect in the system, and also getting Sammy Stefura from the Pittsburgh Pirates for Luke Weaver. I thought that they would get a little bit more in return, but knowing that David Stern's coming from his background from the Milwaukee Brewers and the Houston Astros, he does value young assets, young prospects. As you can see, he's developed guys like Carson Benj and AJ Ewing, right? So who are going to be long-term solutions for that organization. I think those two teams as well. And one more team I'll mention before Rob goes next is the Cardinals. That trade for Romero and Dustin May and we have Andrew Gaines coming in our pod later this month, and he's actually personal friends. And Josiah Ragsdale has been a name that's also thriving, and he can hit for power, man. He's going to be coming
17 off the bat this year.
Yeah,
which if you look at it in the entire MLB, there's only been 3 guys that have done that this year. Obviously, you have the obvious ones, which is Ohtani and Judge, and then I think the other one was O'Neal Cruz. Might be wrong.
Yeah, O'Neal Cruz, I think, is the other one. Yeah, I think he's at 117 as well. And the other prospect, I think, is Frias. Frias is his name, or apparently he has star potential.
Yes.
He has even. I love what Kyle Boom is doing. Kyle Boom is going to turn that franchise around because they have a pedigree of winning culture and what he's done. And look, he knows what he's trying to do. And they know that they're not going to win. Like getting Weatherholt an extension. Excellent. And I think Jordan Walker should be next when it comes to extending guys. So I think St. Louis has done a fine job as well.
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing for us, too, was kind of talking about the Brewers. I don't know if that's what Rob was going to talk about next, but the Brewers made such a desperation trade because I think that they were really all in to try to get Skubal. But I think that they just kind of shot themselves in the foot. Like, obviously, Dustin May is a very good guy, but that's a 2-month rental. You're giving up one of your best prospects. Romero, that guy could actually stay for a while, but not for the haul that he was given. As a Cardinals fan too, I loved Romero. Obviously, he was one of our best bullpen pieces, but really just kind of a desperation move from them because they probably had those 2 guys in there for Skubal, but it just doesn't. That move just doesn't really make sense to me. Especially you're giving a guy that has 30-30 potential, and you're giving a guy that can hit a ball 117 in game to your division rivals. Very questionable.
It's definitely questionable. I actually have them as one of my losers. To that next in the next segment, but I have actually. It's not a team per se, and you talk about division rivals. It's more of a player who's a winner at this trade deadline, and that's Adley Rutschman. Going from a team like the Orioles to a team like the Red Sox, who's just caught fire in the last month and a half, and they're playing better baseball than anybody. And for them, and also the Yankees wanted him, so the Red Sox pried him. They paid a high price. They paid their number 2 and number 4 prospects, respectively, along with Major League catcher Carlos Narvaez. They get back another catcher in Jake Rogers for a backup, so for some depth along with Adley. But you get him to an extension. He moves to, within a division, which I think Baltimore is crazy myself for even shopping this guy in division. But to make a move like that, and for Adley himself to go to a team like that, who has a chance and will do whatever it takes to win every year, it's he's one of my biggest winners at this trade deadline.
All right, let's go to the next question then. Who were the losers at this year's trade deadline? I got a couple. Yeah, I got it's easy.
Too.
Easy. It's easy.
Yeah. You want me to go first, or?
Yep.
Okay. I think the Atlanta Braves, man. I saw the Atlanta Braves going into the trade deadline, and I thought they were going to be one team to watch. I thought they were going to make the biggest moves. You know, I it kind of shocked me when, you know, I mean, they came out with Tyler Mahle, which, I mean, he's, you know, I guess he's a solid depth piece, but they really didn't come out with the big moves. And shout out to a friend of ours, he's a Braves fan, and he wasn't happy at all with what they did at the trade deadline, you know, and he commented to us before that A might not make it out of Atlanta if he doesn't do anything big. So, and we'll see what they do in the playoffs, because I think with that offense, you know, and that team, the way that they've played this year, I just think it's a disservice not to do more than what they did. But that's one team. I got a few others, but go ahead. You guys say yours.
I gotta go the Yankees. I mean,
I'm with you 1,000%.
What are we doing? What are we doing? But y'all need a catcher. Get a catcher. Y'all have the biggest market. Y'all are a $10 billion asset of a team. Why are y'all not getting a catcher? It's your biggest need. Now, okay, I won't give them too much hate because I love the call-up of George Lombard. I mean, honestly, Anthony Volpe, I'm sorry, it's hard to watch. Like, I mean, they needed what they needed to do was they needed to get a catcher, though. They got their shortstop piece that I think is going to be very solid. His debut was very good. That aside, but the catcher thing was just, how are you going to let Boston beat y'all out for Adley Rutschman? Like, come on. Like, that's just, I'm not even a fan of them, but that's just so frustrating. Especially because, like, if you look at every single other piece of depth, when they come back healthy, I was watching a video on it the other day. They have they're going to have too many bats if they come back all healthy in September until the roster comes to the 40-man limit. And they're basically going to have a situation where they're going to have to either where they're going to have too many outfielders, and Stanton is going to have to DH the entire time, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just going to be, it's interesting, especially because you needed a catcher. Get a catcher.
No, I'm with you, and Judge is going to be back at some point as well, and they're not going to find room for any guys.
That's going to be scary.
They need him back badly, but some people think that he won't be 100%. We'll see how he's going to play, because that injury is a severe injury, right? But I'm going to say Baltimore's Orioles are the biggest losers, and here's why.
Yeah.
And this is my problem. They haven't won a playoff game since 2014. They did win the division. They did win to a wild card game a couple years ago. Did not win a single game, and the problem is now they keep trading their main guys who were so they tanked for 4 years to go get top players like the Cone Cowser, Adley Rutschman. They drafted Gunnar, I think, the same year as Adley Rutschman. I think at the compensation. Holiday was. I'm gonna say this. Holiday is one of the biggest busts in the MLB right now. I hate, and the problem about that is, what's your direction of your team now? Because now there are reports, and in fact, we've heard this for a while, that they're not going to re-sign Gunnar, and it's not a good look for the organization. That's your franchise player, and yes, he's not having a good year, and we're going to have a conversation later on in the future about some of these bats not doing well. But overall, you know, when you're trying to go through a rebuild, the outcome has to be winning baseball. And Baltimore is nowhere near that right now whatsoever. Like, what's the situation with Mountcastle? He's been hurt all year, right? And I just don't know. Like, some of these players they've drafted have taken steps back, if you notice. Colin Cowser's taken a step back. I mean, Vance Honeycutt hasn't been a good pickup for them ever since they drafted him. Enrique Bradfield, I don't know where he stands in all this. He should have been up already. A Vanderbilt kid too. Sam Fassbender's hurt. There is so many question marks with this organization, and the bigger problem about the Orioles is developing pitching. They are allergic to drafting pitching. I don't know why they don't do something. And I do think Michael Ice is going to get fired very soon, probably in the offseason. And you gotta win. I mean, if you can't win, and you start trading guys like the Adley Rushman, you're going backwards. And prospects are prospects, fine. They overpaid, right? But at some point you got to start winning, and they're not doing that, and I don't think they will for the foreseeable future.
I think the biggest issue that you got to understand though is that they're playing in the division with the Red Sox, who obviously I kind of mentioned it earlier, the hottest team and like one of the hottest teams in history right now. The Yankees, who are always going to be successful just because of how much money they have and their management is somewhat good in the front office. And the Rays, who have the best farm system besides, I'd argue, maybe the Brewers. And they know how to develop that talent, obviously. They're a big seller when they're not playing well. But those teams are all right now I think they're all 3 top 10 teams right now in baseball, all in the same division. That's very hard to compete against, especially as the Orioles. I think the Orioles have so many different pieces that they have, but they just don't go together, and they're not really a good fit. So I think that there's definitely a direction that they can go in, but I just don't know with the current front office and the current management that they have, if that is the way that they're going to do it.
Marlins didn't do enough either. I'm not sure what they're doing. They went through a 12-game losing streak, and I'm not sure what's next for them. And I think the reason why they kept Sandy Alcantara, because I think he broke a milestone, right? I think for strikeouts or any pitch. I don't remember. But the issue about that is when you have like a young crop of players, and there was rumors about Kyle Stowers getting traded and Aldo Lopez and Xavier Edwards. Like, what's your direction? When are you ever going to win either? Like, I mean, I get that they're trying to operate like the Rays, and like you said, like the Rays went all in this trade deadline, and they want to win, and they did it. The Marlins, I'm not sure what their direction holds as well, right? So, overall, I don't know. A lot of these teams are trying to win. They didn't do enough, in my opinion, and some of those teams are going to backfire in the end, right? So, yeah,
I think Houston Astros kind of losers to me because they had leading the division, and they could have done a little bit more than what they did. I think, especially in the East, you got the MVP candidate, probably the front runner in Yordan Alvarez, and I just feel like they didn't do enough. Like, like they need pitching, they need some bullpen help. Like, that's been their issue. Their offense has been great all season long. So why not go add to your pitching and take a run? Because the offense is that good with Houston, and Jordan is that guy. You know what I mean? So he's a guy that can carry a team, far in, especially in the postseason. If they just they didn't even need to add all that much. But they got Varsho. They traded Spencer Arrighetti in that deal, which, I mean, if I didn't really understand it from their standpoint, but from our standpoint, I love it. I just felt like they could have done more, especially with the division lead. It just didn't make sense, their trade deadline, to me.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that AL West, I just don't know what to think. I am with you 1,000% because a lot of those teams didn't do enough. I didn't know what the Rangers were doing, and I just didn't understand what was going on with with the whole DeGrom thing. We could get into that later, but I mean, I just don't know what the Rangers are doing. Seattle only made one move. They traded Castillo, and I think that was more to do with a salary dump, and the White Sox were willing to make that type of deal in order to get it done. And I get it at the end of the day. It's like, well, man, like I don't know. There's a lot of murkiness in the AL, and it's crazy to think that there's teams that done enough. There's teams that haven't done enough. The White Sox made moves. I don't know if they're needle-moving moves. We'll see how it goes because they're on a slump. Cleveland didn't do enough either. I think they overpaid for Foster Griffin. Joe Adell's nice, but I don't think he's a game changer. He will hit for power, but he has too much swing and miss. So, I mean, we'll see how this plays out in the end. Biggest surprise at the trade deadline?
I'm going to go back to the Baltimore one. I honestly, I wasn't surprised when Rutschman got traded. I honestly thought that the Orioles were going to trade one of their big pieces. I just didn't think that it was going to be like Adley straight into the division, and you're going to have to play him 20 games a year next year. So like, it's just an interesting move by them. But then I got to say the second one for me was it was kind of Scooble. Like, I know a lot of people were saying it was going to happen, but until it really happened, I wasn't like, wow, this isn't 100% going to happen. And then it happened, and then I was like, wow, like this is one of the best pitching staffs on paper literally ever. Like, you're not going to see this again probably after the lockout unless you get a very lucky pool of draft picks.
I think, the biggest surprise for me, I would say, is probably Soriano to the Jays and giving up their top prospect, and then some. That to me was the biggest shocker to me because, one, at some point we knew that the Jays wanted pitching, but they needed bats more than pitching, but they needed a little bit of both. So, giving up Arjun Amala was a steep price to go get a guy like so. And I get the plan because this is not the first time they've done this, and they want to compete. If there's any fighting chance, I don't know if they're gonna get to the playoffs this year, but if not, next year they'll be ahead of schedule of what they need to do to address the needs, and then at the same time, they could figure out everything else in the offseason, right? So I think the Soriano trade shocked the world because the other two, Detmers and Neto, didn't get traded. So, I mean, that's how I see it. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Surprise to me at this trade deadline was when the Marlins traded Liam Hicks to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 years of control, I believe, beyond this year. He has 14 home runs, 62 RBIs. Catchers aren't easy to find in today's game. And, it doesn't make sense what the Marlins are doing, really. Like, I don't really get what they've done. Like, it's just weird. They're shopping, what's his name, Stowers to Houston, and we heard about that most of the day. And maybe that was a guy Houston was willing to pay for, but it didn't come to fruition. So but then to trade Liam Hicks, and the deal they got back was Braden Taylor, shortstop Adrian Santana, and right-handed pitcher Jacob Kisting. And I mean, to me, I think they could have got more. It's just a very odd trade. It shocked me when they dealt him. It didn't make sense.
I think that Zephyrin trade, Ryan Zephyrin, the reliever, got traded to the Cubs. That was a shocker because the Angels just completely tore it down, with the exception of Detmers and Neto, right? And when you look at the Cubs, they gave up a lot this trade deadline. That to me kind of shocked me the most, of the assets they had to give up to go get the players.
Let me ask you this, though.
Right?
Rocky. Were you more shocked at what the Cubs gave up for him, or the fact that he got traded? Because I was shocked that they just gave up on Ballesteros for him. Like, I just that kind of shocked me, man.
Yeah, that shocked me too because
Zephyr John himself.
Yeah, because the thing is, like with Ballesteros, he was the catcher of the future for that franchise, and catchers are such a big need in baseball. And you know what? Good for the Angels to get a guy like Ballesteros right in that deal because they needed a catcher for the future. And you know the thing about the Angels is that they need to take their time to work with these young players and build a foundation. They do have Nolan Shannell. They got Christian Moore in their system. So they just need to keep building and find a way to have some winning baseball. Because at some point, they got to start winning. And over time, you know, with the Angels, it's such a messy organization. It's just too bad that, you know, that the way that franchise is being run by Artie Moreno. It's just too bad. But
let Judge or let Trout go free, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, at some point, like, how much more can Trout tolerate this, like, over and over again? Because they're not going to win.
This is a fascinating stat. Trout has more All-Star game appearances than playoff at-bats.
Crazy.
A lot more, probably, right?
Well, they made the playoffs in either 12 or 13, and they played that entire AL wildcard series.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that was the last time they have made the playoffs.
What, 3 games he's played? Maybe 2 games, 3 games, something like that.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely. I don't even think they won a game though.
Yeah, I don't think they won either.
I feel it for y'all Angels fans.
Oh man, it's rough. Let's hope for Arjun Amal and Eddie Micheletti. I mean, Jay's prospect got traded for Soriano to be part of their plans, right? But let's get to the MVP races here. Let's start with the NL here, and this is a fascinating one because Ohtani's been the consensus MVP pretty much every year, right, for quite some time, and it seems like we finally have a race here all of a sudden, and Pete Crow Armstrong has become an absolute beast for the Chicago Cubs, and I don't know what the Cubs would do without him. And the Mets fans keep bragging about that trade over and over again and what could have been if they kept him, and he's turned out to be probably the best center fielder right now in baseball by far. And either one can start off. Like, what are your thoughts about the MVP race, and if there's anybody else that needs to be mentioned, let us know.
I don't really think that there's anybody else to be mentioned besides maybe Miz. You got to put Miz in that conversation, even though he's not going to win it because he's just a pitcher, and the pitchers don't tend to win the MVP unless you are the most dominant we've ever seen. But I think Miz eventually will be that if he can keep up these numbers. I don't think he's that yet. But in terms of the MVP, I have to be unbiased here because I am a Cardinals fan. But I do think that PCA definitely has a chance to win it. I think that it's going to be him finishing his clip like he was in June. I don't think if he puts up, he has to put up June numbers though. Like he can't. There's no room for error because if Ohtani's going to have a sub-3 ERA and he's going to hit right around what PCA is hitting, there's no way that you can't put Ohtani above PCA. I think Ohtani has to struggle at the plate tremendously the next 2 months, and that's just not going to happen for PCA to win the MVP.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. You know, I mean, Ohtani stole an MVP away once from somebody, so it's possible he can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Vlad right? A few years back. I thought Vlad should have won that MVP, but in 2021. But yeah, like I mean, Ohtani got off to a slow start though this year, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, if he does struggle a little bit, I mean, it was probably just a one-off that he struggled that early, but I'd like to see PCA win it though, man. I know you don't like PCA because of the whole Cubs. I get you hate the Cubs.
No,
right?
I love him. I can't let my
No,
Cubs buddies hear this, but I love PCA because I mean I'm an outfielder as well too, and he's
yeah,
I'm 6'1", 190. He's the same exact thing. He's just a lefty. And I mean, I love seeing how he works his at bats, and I love seeing how he works his fielding. It's just an art, and I really
yeah,
admire that about him. And it's fun to watch, and it's also fun to learn from and grow from, especially if you're a fan of the game, but also somebody who watches a ton of film. Obviously, playing college baseball, you got to watch a lot of film to get better, and that's one of the
for
guys
sure.
that I'm tuning into.
Yeah. No, I to say was you didn't. No, I'm just saying. I guess what I meant to say was you hate the Cubs, but but yeah, no, PC
Oh
is
yeah, I
great,
do.
man.
I do.
Yeah, yeah,
That's just one of those guys that you have to have respect for.
Well,
absolutely.
I think PCA has a legit shot at winning, and here's why. Without the Cubs, I don't know where they're at right now, and I don't know if Ohtani pitches the rest of the way. Right, that's the other thing too. Like he's not healthy enough to pitch. I don't think to maybe the playoffs. We'll see about that. The name to me that needs to be in the conversation, and he's hurt right now, is James Wood. What a stud, man! What a player for them. And
I mean,
Washington had the best offense this year, and
if you're
he's a big part. Him and C.J. Abrams have been
I was
great.
gonna say if you're gonna argue James Wood, you look at C.J. Abrams' stats, and they're both about to be in the 40 point
Sure,
club
yeah, absolutely.
with that
Because the thing is,
OPS.
those two players are, I think, they're top 10 hitters in baseball by far,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Top five,
and
top five.
I,
I'd go as
I
far as
do,
top five.
I do think Wood has an MVP in him in the future. I don't know
Not even
when,
crazy.
but no, I think maybe in the next 3 to 4 years, because you have to remember, Otani's not getting any younger. PCA, I do think he has an MVP in him as well, right? Um, so and I also think that, if Matt Olson is another guy that needs to get talked about a little bit more. The guy's
So
played for how many?
underappreciated.
He plays how many games? Eight. He has the record,
62 in
right?
a row.
He has the Iron Man record, and he's playing really well for them. And he's been their consistent hitter. And him and Drake Baldwin. Baldwin, when healthy, man, is one of the top catchers in baseball. But yeah, Matt Olson needs to get talked about more in these conversations because one, great defender. Two, his bat is back more than ever. He's turned it around from last year to this year. And like you said, he shows up to games. He's been healthy. And that gets sought after in today's baseball with the injuries that's going on, with players taking days off, right? So I think that also comes as a factor too. But I think I'm with you. It's probably Ohtani at the moment, but I do think PCA has a legitimate shot of winning it. So this is the closest MVPs probably I've seen in a while. I can't even think. I mean, it's been a long time since we had an MVP race
Ha-
in the
Has it
NL.
been?
But
Oh,
probably
in the
3
NL,
years
in the NL, in the NL.
in the
I was about
NL.
to say the AL before Otani left
We
was
we could get to the AL right
the
now.
closest they've
Yeah, you
ever.
can start off with the AL. Go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I don't even think that there needs to be much of a discussion about this. I mean, it's Jordan all the way.
Jordan, yeah, all day.
I mean, Jordan's gonna finish, if not with 50 home runs, very close to 50 home runs, and there's a chance that he can have the leading batting average as well too. I don't know if that's super close, but it's very close. He's
Yeah.
elite, man. He's elite this year. I just really hope that it's not a Cal Raleigh type season where he's just like very good one year and then the next he just falls off a plateau.
I'll just say this quick here is that Jordan has a track record of playing well. I mean,
Mhm.
when healthy, as he goes, the Astros go, right? Because as you can see, he's slipping right now. I mean, slumping. And right now, the Astros are going through it a little bit offensively, right, at the moment, right? Because
Mhm.
when your best player shows up, I mean, the team is going to play at a better level, without question. I mean, you said this about Vlad. Like, when Vlad is the best player in that lineup, everybody else shows up, right? But it's important that for a guy like Jordan, without him, the Astros wouldn't be nowhere near where he's at today. But I'll give you a close. I would say second. I mean, the guy that needs to be talked about more is Junior Caminero. My goodness, what a player, man!
Very, very good.
Special. He has some. He's special,
They just
man.
signed him, right?
They traded from in Cleveland a few years ago. He was an
I'm
A
saying,
ball.
but they just signed him to an extension, right? Or has that not been done
No,
yet?
not yet. No, not yet.
Rays, get out the checkbook.
Yeah, he's about to get
He's
paid.
worth every penny, man. He's a stud.
He's
that's the one guy I'd put there with Jordan if there was a guy.
I'm gonna say a dark horse. I'm gonna put a dark horse in here. Obviously, if Judge isn't hurt, Judge is always there. But his teammate, I'm gonna go look. You got to look at Ben Rice, man. What an exceptional season, and what a kind of out of nowhere. I mean, obviously we know that Ben Rice had it in him, but I mean he's hitting at a very impressive clip right now, and he's one of the league leaders in home runs. It's very impressive what he has done, and I mean, honestly, when that lineup is healthy, you have Judge, Ben Rice, and Stanton back to back to back. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's important that when you have a guy like Judge, I mean, he provides the big lineup protection as well. I think that's important to a certain degree, and Ben Rice has stepped up, but I do think it's still Jordan's to lose regardless of what happens.
Yes,
but
100%.
Caminero should, to me, is probably number 2 in my mind because the Rays are in first place, and he's taking he's taking that step from having how many home runs last year? 45. I think it was the second lowest since Vlad, I think, or second highest since Vlad, because Vlad had 48. And with Caminero, he's going to be a superstar in this league for years to come as long as he keeps up the way he is, right? He's just that good. He's only 23. Like, him and James Witt are like the up and rising superstars in baseball. And I love watching guys. Yeah, Jordan Walker, too. I mean, Jordan Walker's another one.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he's another one, too. But, I think Junior Caminero is definitely in the conversation. But like I said, Jordan is probably the guy to beat, right? So at this point,
Cy Young.
What do you want to do, NL or AL? There's 2 great conversations. So
again, I think the NL doesn't really have much of a conversation in it, but I think let's go to.
I think there's 3 guys who legitimately have a shot. So
I think there's only one.
Let's talk about the AL right now.
Though.
In the NL,
all right,
absolutely only one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Okay,
let's go to the NL first.
Okay, let's do the NL first. Let's get it out of the way because the AL one could go back and forth. But right now, like you said, it's Mizorowski without a doubt. I mean, the guy is electric. You know, the thing is, like, I followed him for 4 years, and I've watched him in preseason or spring training. And I said, this guy's going to be the future ace of the set. I just had that funny feeling, and I think 22, right? He was drafted out of college, and he just pumped gas. Like, dude, I said, if he can work on his secondary stuff, he's going to become a machine, and he's become one. The question is, can he hold up for the foreseeable future? Because you know what happens when you throw velocity, right? Injuries are at high risk. That's the thing, right? So I'm not going to say TJ, but it comes at that risk. But I'll mention 2 names out of respect that should be in the conversation. Is Chris Sale, and I saw his stats today. Wow, the guy's still an ace, man. At 37, unfreaking believable. And I do think he's in the conversation because I saw him today, and look, I don't know, that ball call is another story, but dude, the guy can still throw 10 strikeouts in a game at that age. The guy threw 99. Like, 99 at that age is insane. Like, he still has it in him, but... And Christopher Sanchez. I mean...
Yeah, Sanchez is the other guy. Yeah.
Like...
Good pick.
Christopher Sanchez...
It's going to be a lethal on the playoffs.
Needs to get talked about more, too. Rob, let me ask you this about Christopher Sanchez. Like, how do you look at him compared to the Mizorowskis and the Chris Sales?
I mean, I think he's just as talented as those guys. I mean, he's younger, but I mean, you look at him, man. We saw him pitch earlier this year. Me and you, we went to a game and saw him throw 10 Ks in that game, against the Jays. So I mean, he's just
Crazy.
he's got great stuff, man. Just unbelievable stuff. Like his fastball's great. He mixes his pitches well. He's got a great sinker. Like he is like. He's going to be the ace of that Philly staff for years to come. But when you talk about him compared to a Sale, Mizorowski, I think like compared to those guys, like he's on the right track. He's awesome, man. I love Sanchez. I think that he has a Cy Young in him one day. And
Yes, he
I
does.
think Mizorowski gets his this year. Sale's already won Cy Young, so I think Sanchez has one in him, bro.
Sam, I want to ask you this: what would it take for Chris Sale or Christopher Sanchez to get closer to that Cy Young race to beat Mizorowski?
The elbow. Mizorowski's elbow
man.
going out. I'm just being
man.
so honest. Like there's no other way. Mizorowski can have three. I think it was like three. I saw the stat the other day, like 3 or 4 10-run like given up starts, and he'd still have a better ERA than most of those guys.
Yeah, I mean
Something crazy like that. And I think part of the reason it's so just impressive is because you see this guy throwing this hard, but it's so consistent, and it's not like I feel like a lot of guys have control issues or they're so like predictable with his pitches. But I mean you can't see anything when a dude's throwing 99-mile-per-hour sliders. Like good luck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think one guy that you can never ever, I don't care what day of the year it is, you can never count out Skeens. He's sitting at a 3.5 ERA right now. I know that sounds crazy, but if this man goes on a tear, and we have seen it in the past, he can get that ERA to around 2.3, 2.2, and he can potentially be around the leader for strikeouts. That's still a conversation that you have to have. And you have to understand too, Skeens has the experience and he's done it before. Obviously, he's done it twice before, or once before. Sorry, I'm thinking of him in school. But the thing with Miz that you have to understand, he hasn't done it yet. So it's gonna be a very down to the wire. And I think that's the thing with Sale. He's done it before too. So if Miz has some irregular outings, you never know what could happen. But I at the end of the day, I think it's Miz's to lose. I think that one of the reasons that Skeens has kind of struggled, I mean, a 3.5 ERA is struggling for the man. You're doing something right. Is because of the velocity thing. I think you've seen him drop down from 94 or from 99, like sitting, to 94 to 97. And a big part of that is because of his elbow health. He wants to be sustainable. He wants to understand that he doesn't need to like throw as hard as he can. He needs to pitch. And pitching is a big difference between throwing and pitching. And the biggest art about pitching for Skeens is he's going to be able to learn that he's going to be able to keep his arm sustainable for 15 years, and he's going to be able to get that $500 million contract that he's bound to sign with one of these big market teams in the future.
No, without question. And I think also that with Mizorowski, I think especially in the playoffs, I wish they got another pitcher that could be close to Mizorowski level. And
Dustin May is so unbelievably good. I know that not getting Scooble was such a drag, but that Dustin May is going to be very big, especially with that. He's a veteran arm. He's not, by no means is he a Scooble level, but he is a very, very, he could be obviously the ace of multiple different teams, and he can really be a good number 2 or even number 3 option for the Brewers.
Yeah, I think that's what they're banking on stuff. The potential has always been there ever since the Dodgers. Like he's always had the stuff. It just comes down to can he execute it? His command is another thing too, right? So I think that boils down to how, right, and that's how important. They have enough pitching to get it done. I mean, I like what the Brewers have. It's just that can they put it together? And they always been halted to get to the World Series. It's just that the Dodgers or any other team that try to beat them, I think they lost in the Mets in the wild card round, I think, a couple of years ago. And I think more importantly, that's what it boils down to. We'll see what happens. I mean, it could still be a fighting chance. I know the Dodgers are probably the favorites, but I think the Cubs, Brewers, if the Braves can hold their pitching down, sure, absolutely. So, anything can happen, right? Come playoff time. But let's get to the Cy Young race, man. This is probably the fascinating one to end this segment. But
AL.
Rob,
That's a good one.
or sorry, the AL. The AL Cy Young. The AL. So Rob, I know that we always kept talking about this, but what's on your mind, man? Talk to me.
No, I mean, it's Dylan Cease versus Cam Schlittler, man. Like, when we signed Dylan Cease, the Blue Jays, to that 7-year, was a $210 million contract. I didn't really like it at first because of the term, right? But man, it feels good to be wrong, It feels great to be wrong because he's been nothing but great, man. Like, just electric. Like, man, if you had Cease and Mizorowski in the same league, then you'd have a real face-off for Cy Young, because the only guy I think and Schlittler, yes, Schlittler has. But I'm talking about strikeouts. You put strikeouts up against Mizorowski versus Cease, and they're pretty similar. But Schlittler's been great too, man. Like, he's electric too, man. He's one of those guys. The Yankees are in a good spot going forward with their ace. So, but I still got to give the edge to Cease. I think Cease has the edge for me, and this is why. Because you look at his numbers, he's got the most strikeouts in the AL. He's got the most games of 10 plus strikeouts in the AL. He's, I believe their ERAs are pretty similar. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I just feel like Cease has kind of, with the way he's pitched the last 2-3 weeks versus Schlittler, is kind of given himself a little bit of an edge, but it's still very, 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 very close. I think it's so close. What about you guys?
Sam?
What are your thoughts on this?
I gotta go with Cease, man. I agree with you on that. I think a dark horse candidate that people are really not valuing this year is Sonny Gray. I think he's been exceptional for the Red Sox. He's around a 2 ERA. He's getting a ton of strikeouts per game. It feels like every single time I tune in, he's at least getting 8 to 10 Ks. It's a really fun guy to watch. Obviously, I wish the Cardinals still had him, but we got a great haul back for him. But yeah, definitely a huge piece for the Red Sox to have that type of leadership. Very quiet guy, but a very lead by action kind of guy. And I think that's a big piece for them. And it's definitely going to be very good when it comes time for the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think it's Cease, and here's why. Strikeouts, I mean, he's going to hit another year with 200 strikeouts, probably for the 5th year in a row. Also, that, a lot of people say, and look, some fan bases are petty, like Padres fan base, but Pete Walker is one of the best pitching coaches in all of baseball, and they're going to realize that they did something that tweaked his stuff to work his game, and he's I think an East-West guy, and he's throwing more of his secondary stuff. His changeup is more of a bread and butter now, and he doesn't have to rely too much, and he throws 98, 99. He can throw 100 when he needs to, but he doesn't need to do all that because he could always depend on the secondary stuff. Cam Schlittler, last game, he didn't play all that great, and I want to see how he bodes after the season's over. Remember, he's pitching his first full season in the major leagues, and the fatigue factor could become a part, playing that long, right? So I'm curious to see how it is. And with Cease as well, he has, I think, 36 consecutive scoreless innings, and he has a complete shutout. I mean, now it's a rarity in baseball, and he's been impressive. I mean, over these last few starts, and he's just on a tear, and, if he keeps it up, he has a legitimate shot of winning the Cy Young. But like you said, how you said there was a dark horse, and I know Rob wants to go after me. Drew Rasmussen. Well, the guy had 3 elbow surgeries, and he's still pitching out of his mind, which is, to me, is mind-boggling for a player like him. And how important has he put for the Rays in the rotation? He's probably been the best starting pitcher for the Rays this year, and he's been pitching great overall. And without him in the rotation, I don't know where the Rays are at overall. Like McClanahan's hurt right now. Freddie Peralta, I don't know what to think about them getting Freddie Peralta. We'll see about that. But I mean, Rasmussen's been great, and he's been the anchor in that rotation. And I think that's a guy that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quick about their ERAs, man. Yeah, you want to know close? Cease is 2.28, Schlittler's 2.26. So you can't get any crazier than that. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Doesn't Cease have like a 1.05 whip and then Cam Schlitter 0.98? So that's also close too, right? So that those statistics are going to close. It's going to come down to the wire. But I do think Cease is probably the favorite because
1.04 for Cease and 0.95 for Schlitter.
Wow,
so
that's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. Oh, Mizorowski's is 0.73.
Wow.
I mean, we know he's the best pitcher in baseball. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but Drew Rasmussen, 0.91.
Doesn't get talked about enough, man.
Yeah, you know. So Rocky just brought him up. Yeah. I mean, you know, that's a guy right there, and a guy we didn't bring up when we talked about the NL too. And I know he's not really in the Cy Young because he kind of got off to a little bit of a late start. Is Chase Burns for the Reds?
Yeah, I like Chase
Burns. Is he? That's cool, man.
So I saw him. It was either my 8th grade or freshman year. He's at a high school, probably about 10 minutes from where I am right now. I saw him throw, and he topped 101 on the gun as a high schooler. I mean, obviously, he was he's one of the better Wake Forest pitchers of all time. It was definitely fun watching him. I know a couple buddies have been in the box against him, and they said it was not a fun day. You're coming out of math class and then you're facing Chase Burns. It's never going to be fun. I saw him too play at when he was at the AA affiliate for the Reds, which is down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I saw him play there, and it's just different. Like, I mean, he went up through the system so fast. I mean, it's crazy to think that I just graduated high school now, and he was in high school, or either I was an 8th grader at the time that he was about to graduate and go to college. And now he's already there.
It's crazy. It's crazy how that works. I think now with the way baseball's going, you can see the pitchers, college pitchers are the way to go. Because they're more established, they're a lot closer to the majors compared to high school. High school probably has the most upside, and with high school players, the talent probably is there with their arm, but it might take some time to build what they are at the end of the day. So every team has its way to build, and like you said, look at the young crop of pitchers coming in the system. You mentioned Skeens, Mizorowski, and Chase Burns all in the same division. Who would have thought, right? That it became a thing, right? So, baseball when it comes to pitching is at a great spot, man. I mean, we're going to see a lot more of that. I mean, in the coming weeks, years.
One more thing about Burns, I think he has only gotten one loss in his pitching games. You might want to double check that stat.
Yeah, he's 13-1. He's 13-1. Yeah,
that's crazy.
On a team that's below 500, by the way.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like, you even look at Skeens' Cy Young winner, and I think he was under 500. Obviously, though, it's talking about one of the worst defenses in the league, but still,
right?
Yeah, of course.
But gentlemen, this was fun. I mean, the conversations, man. We're gonna have some future conversations about some things. But Sam, this was awesome, man. And we got things we got to talk about in the future. But where can we find you in social media? Yes, sir. Where can we find you in social media and everywhere else?
At Sam_FAZZY07 on Instagram. And if you want to go check out my YouTube, just look up Sam Fassbender and you'll find it.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. It was great to have you back. It's fun talking to you about just baseball, man, just in general. So we're gonna have some interesting things going forward in the future. So we appreciate it, man.
Yep. Don't want to spoil too much.
No, we got so much to talk.
That's right.
We got so much to talk about in the future. We'll hold that for later. But we'll place the description below where you can find Sam Fassbender. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and 5 stars. So till next time, take care. Be kind to each other. Signing off from the Sports Avenue Twisted podcast on Saturday, August 8th, 2026.
Sports Avenue Twisted Podcast. Rob and Rocky talks everything sports.